Are you looking for some panel project ideas? Stay tuned. Welcome to Watch and Learn. I'm Kristina Whitney and
I'm Kim Sandberg.
And we are studio educators slash chief quilting engineers slash whatever we want to call ourselves today.
Panel project perfectionists? No,
I was going to say
maybe not perfectionist.
Princess?
Princess? I like princess better.
You know, we've done the royalty thing, the ruler queen. And,
I like that. The princess of the panel project.
Yeah, so today you are the princess.
Oh, I'm so excited. That's great.
Okay, so we're going to work on a panel today.
Yep.
Kim, you're going to work with Pro Stitcher. But we do want to emphasize that the same technique can be used, free motion, ruler work, all different styles, but you chose to use this particular tool for today.
Exactly, with the Pro Stitcher. So we'll kind of point that out along the way too as we're going through this, just mentioning here's where we would use a ruler, here's where you could maybe use a stencil, things like that. So yeah, help me remember that part.
I will do my best.
So the panel we're going to work on today, I actually have a finished version of it here behind me. Well, mostly finished. It does not have the binding on it. I just want to call that out there so that everybody does know. But this is one of my favorite ways to quilt a fun panel. So if we come over here and take a look at it, instead of just quilting like an edge to edge over the whole thing or working with the design that's in the panel, I chose to create texture all over it. And what I wanted to do was divide it up in really random shapes and put different textures inside the shapes. So, I mean, you can see there's not, I think this one right here is the only one that's actually square-ish.
For the
rectangle-ish, yeah, for the shape that it's in. And then I just picked fun, different designs and fills to put in here. I think the biggest thing that makes this really fun is leaving the nice little channel in between all of the designs. It makes everything pop, doesn't it?
It does. It breaks it up.
Yeah. And it helps you see, your eyes see where one design stops and another design starts. So the trick is just trying to be kind of consistent with that. Although I will point out, like if you guys look right here, my space right here is probably, this is like a generous 1/4 inch. And on this side, it's definitely a scant 1/4 inch, but you know what? It all works.
Nobody would ever notice.
Yep. So I wouldn't get too concerned about making sure that those channels are absolutely exactly the same size on all of them. Close enough is good enough on something like this.
Yeah. You can also use the technique that I always tell people to do is purposefully make them different.
Yep.
And then that way, when you do mess up, nobody will know.
Exactly, exactly. And to be perfectly honest, and I'm going to show you guys how I do this, I eyeballed all these. I didn't measure any of them. I just used the Pro Stitcher to set up an area, and I looked at it as I was setting it up and made it about a 1/4 inch away in my eye, and that's what happened. So I
love
like
it.
It's intentionally not perfect. So definitely panel perfectionist is not the right word for today.
Panel princess.
Panel princess is much better. So, okay, so let's take a look. I have this loaded here on the frame here. And just so that everybody knows, because everybody does tend to ask, I do have 2 layers of batting. I've got a layer of 80/20 and then a layer of wool on the top because number one, this is going to be a wall hanging, and I always feel like when you do the 2 layers, it just gives it extra stability, right?
It does.
Helps it hang nice and straight. You can block it and it just hangs really well. I am also, for thread, I am using a thread that is just going to blend with the whole thing.
Okay.
So I'm using a So Fine, and it's just a blue that's basically the same color as the background.
Excellent.
And I could have went with a little bit of a lighter weight thread, but I didn't have the right color. Otherwise, honestly, I probably would have used like a micro quilter on this, because this is definitely about the designs and the texture you're putting on it. It's not about the thread. You just want the thread to blend.
Perfect.
So, all right, well, let's start. Now, this is going to be kind of fun because I want you to help me with it. We're going to just make a random shape here on the quilt and then fill it in with a design and quilt it. So I'm going to go through the basic steps of how to do this, just making this basic shape and then showing you how I measure over and set up the next one with my channel. And then I want to show you how to use rubber band area, which I think is one of the most underused tools in Pro Stitcher. And this is where it's really fun to do this. And I have to give full credit here. So where I learned how to do this technique of just setting this up and doing this way was from Marie Eldridge. who, former studio educator here, she is now happily retired and making oodles of quilts for fun. She actually came and visited us recently, and she's having a lot of fun. But Marie, this was one of her favorite things to do, and I learned a lot from her on how to do it.
Before we jump into that, can you tell us a little bit about this panel and where it came from?
Yes. So this is a really cute panel. It's called Sweet Land of Liberty, and we got this from our friends at Shabby Fabrics. They were so sweet. They sent us 2 panels so that we could film with them. It's always great to be able to have one finished and one to work on while we're doing it. So if you're looking for a fun panel project, be sure to go to shabbyfabrics.com and look at their selection. They had, I know when we were looking for panels, they have so many, don't they?
Yes.
They have a ton. So if you're looking for a fun project that you just want to be able to just get to that quilting, panels are a great way to do it.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's pull the machine over here, and we're going to set up the first area up here in this top corner. Now, just a caveat here, you really could start anywhere on the quilt you wanted to. I usually just start and work my way across, but okay. So first thing we're going to do, we'll take a look here at the screen, and the first thing I want to do really quickly is show you guys the workspace for the quilt that I quilted. So the one in the background here, if I take and move this over here, I just want everybody to be able to see so you can kind of get a good idea. This is what that workspace ended up looking like. So you guys can see here, I don't have like definite shapes outlining these, the different areas I had. I actually used the areas to stitch out to define the spaces. And because you can only have one area open at a time, I don't actually have any of the areas saved after the fact here. So that's why it looks the way it does.
I'm having so much fun watching this because my brain is definitely spinning of what, ooh, we could do this.
Yes.
Oh, let's try this. Ooh.
Yes, yes.
So I'm excited to see this.
I know, this is gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clear this because I wanna do different designs on this quilt. Let's do something different, okay? So I'm gonna hit clear all, and then the first thing we're gonna do is set up an area. So I'm gonna select my area tab here, and then I'm going to use multi-point to set up my area. So I'll use multi-point, and I've got my first point there on the screen. Okay, now this is where we're gonna have some fun with collaborative quilting. Kristina gets to say right, left, up, down, and tell me when to set the next point.
Okay, I'm gonna say right.
Okay, right. Tell me when.
When?
Okay. So, and I'll keep hitting refresh. Okay.
Diagonal right down.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. You knew what right was. And stop.
Okay.
Okay. And then let's go to the left. Down. Oh, not drop a point.
Sorry, I'll hit undo.
Undo is your friend.
Okay, now I'll go down.
And now, drop a point.
Okay, we'll hit refresh again.
And then let's go up to the left.
Straight up to the left.
And then to your left.
And then to my left.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going, and there, right there.
Okay.
You're so trusting to let me do this.
Well, you know what? I figure, honestly, part of what makes this really fun is just having a lot of variety in the different shapes you have. Yeah. So are we happy with this? Shape. Okay, this shape. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has 5 angles on it. So does that mean it's not a pentagon, but 5 sides, right?
Yeah, 5.
Okay, 5. Okay, so that's the first area we want to fill. So this is when it gets really fun too. So, okay, if you're doing this with a ruler, you could definitely draw this out beforehand, or you could do the same thing and just get the ruler out and just start having some fun and just create shapes. Move that straight edge ruler wherever you want. You can use curved edges. You can do whatever you want. So just that caveat there if you're trying this a different way. Okay, let's go to the Pro Stitcher Design Library here on the screen. And let's take a look at some fills for this. Okay, so first question is, do we want to put a block design or a continuous line design inside this area we just created?
Well, looking at the one that you already did, it looks like most of them are continuous line because they fill the entire space. Or we could pick a block and just make it really big and crop out the stuff that's outside the area.
And I did both of those on here.
Yeah.
So, exactly.
So for this one, let's do a continuous line for this one.
Okay. So we'll just kind of go through here and you tell me when you find a design.
Do we want to pick kind of a theme for this one? Because I know you did on the first one.
Yeah, so the first one, I definitely tried to go off of the idea of patriotic, and so I did stars and stripes. I actually did a lot of stripes in there. You'll see a lot of straight lines. Those are my stripes, so stars and stripes. And then I also quilted some fun flowers in there because there's flowers inside the quilt itself. So perfect. You want to pick something different for this one, or do we want to do something along the same lines?
Oh, I just had a random thought.
Okay.
What if we broke up the spaces in this section of the United States and did every state? Just kidding, just kidding.
You know what? I actually thought of doing that, and then I was like, that's going to take a lot of time. I had 2 hours to quilt the one behind us.
But there's no Alaska or Hawaii, so you could do. There's not, is there?
Nope,
okay.
There isn't.
Yeah, you don't have to do 48 different shapes.
I know, 48 different shapes.
Cool.
You know what?
And the background.
We'll get another one of these, and I'll let you do that one. How's that?
Ooh,
that works. That works.
Okay.
Challenge thrown down.
So for this one,
what do you want to? Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of bringing out the flowers and the leaves that are in here.
Okay.
So
knowing that, so I actually happen to be over a design called Fill the Flowers.
Oh, it's got the word flowers in it. Let's go for it.
Should we open that one up and go for it?
Perfect.
Okay, so now's when we get to just kind of have a little fun with this. So I'm going to move the design over here. Do we want to make it this design smaller, larger? Do we want to repeat it? There's a lot of choices to make here, which is part of the fun of this project, I feel like.
Now, this is a question that I get a lot of times that is very applicable at this point is, I look at this on my screen, but I can't really judge how dense it's actually going to be. So can we show them the one-to-one zoom tool?
So right here at the bottom, we have this one-to-one, and when we tap that, it shows what the actual density of the quilting is going to be. That is the actual size. So that's actually, I mean, it's on the denser side for an edge to edge, but maybe for this, it's a little not maybe as dense as we want.
Okay, let's refresh so we can see the whole thing again. I would like to repeat the design.
Okay.
And then
horizontally?
Yes.
Okay.
And then let's change the width.
Okay.
So we're going to distort it.
Yes. And I'm going to use X-Form. I love using Transform. I think it's a tool that is very underutilized. So it puts these little nodes on the side here. So I can just have some fun here with this. And let's move this over so it's more in the center of the screen.
Now this is fun. You can
resize,
resize,
are you liking that?
rotate.
Yeah, I can rotate. I can do all kinds of fun things.
Yeah.
I know. Are you liking that? You
yeah.
liking that?
Yep.
Okay. So to turn off X-Form, I'm going to tap the select button. Remember that one of the 4 workspace tools there has to be selected. So we want to crop away the outside. So we're going to go to modify and crop, and we're going to do outside. And this is where we get to have the discussion of to close the edges or not to close the edges. On the one I previously quilted, I did close all the edges on it. It's one of the reasons why I chose to use a thread that was a finer thread and that blends with the fabric. So if we get some thread buildup, it doesn't really show.
Yeah.
Plus, I am wanting to outline all of the outsides of these designs anyway, and so it's just a way to kind of help it.
Do you want to explain what edges does real quick?
Yeah.
Just a really short, brief explanation.
So when I tap this button, it closes all of those edges. It gets rid of all those starts and stops. So if I turn that off really quick, if we go to view and I turn off area, you can see there that it's going to leave spots that aren't quilted.
And you have all those tie-offs and tie-ons, and it's going to take forever
to stitch out, absolutely. But when I close the edges, it puts in stitching there. But you have to be aware that you are most likely going to get some overstitching. So that's kind of the choice there. I think I'm going to go ahead and turn my area back on. I think we're going to choose to go ahead and roll with the overstitching. Yes. Okay, baseline is really important when you're doing this because we are going to take this area away. And when I do something like this, I like to keep it on the screen so that I just kind of have an idea of what's going on with the previous designs I've done. Perfect. Okay, at this point, we're ready to go ahead and do some quilting. So we'll just go ahead and Pro Stitcher quilt and run. I have my tie-offs on, and we'll pull up our bobbin thread, and then we'll go ahead and let this stitch out. So we're finished quilting here. Sorry, we're off on La La Land. And okay, so we're gonna go ahead and cut, bring up my bobbin thread, and we'll trim that. And then we can take a closer look at this here. So it looks pretty good, but as you can see, I don't have solid lines all the way around the outside of the design. And we do want that, so it creates that definition, right? Okay, let me clip a couple other threads here. So the easiest way to do this is we're going to stitch out the area. It's called the trace area function. Once again, I think this is something that a lot of people don't realize is a function to use. So you select the Pro Stitcher tab, you're in the quilt function, and then over here in the sidebar, we're gonna tap that trace area. When trace area is selected, the only thing that's gonna quilt is the area. And this is the other question we always get. How do you know where it's gonna start quilting? So it's gonna start quilting where you dropped the first point. I can't guarantee that which direction it's gonna quilt because it seems like it's kind of a 50-50, but that's where it's gonna start. And since we started up here in this corner, that's where it's gonna start. So we'll just go ahead and tap run and proceed.
And if you can't remember where you started, the machine will go where it needs to go. So you can just let it do its thing.
Exactly.
Now, if you were doing this with rulers, I would almost want to make my shape first, give myself some boundaries, and then put the fill inside of it. Yep.
And you can, you know, when you're stitching this out, you can absolutely do the same thing with the area. If you want to stitch the area first, you can. Yeah. It honestly doesn't matter. My one caution here is, and we're actually, I'm really glad it did it. So we have a little bit of this on this side. So let me show you this. And if I would have been paying attention, I could have done a little bit of management on this. But if we look closely at this side here, you actually see that the area is stitched just a little bit off from the edge of the stitching. And that's because of draw in. So it's something to be aware of, but for me, I'm like, you know what, I don't care in the long run. It's fine. It's something I might notice, but really nobody else is gonna notice. But it's one of those things as it's stitching out, if you happen to notice a little bit of something like that, you can always pause your machine, and then you can use your hands to kind of manipulate the quilt to help it stitch exactly where you want it to. Or you can always go back and use mark is another great tool that you can use to make sure that you get those lines exactly where you want them.
Perfect.
Okay, so we got our first little area done. Let's do one more area, and I'm going to show you how to do that channel. Let's do one more smaller area just with another fill. Then I'm going to show you how to use rubber band. Okay. So here on the screen, you guys can see we've got our design set up there. We're going to go to area and then tap the clear button over here because you can only have one area open at a time. We don't need that area anymore.
Just a reminder though, make sure you baseline before you clear the area.
Yes, if you don't baseline, that design's going to pop back exactly how it was. And remember, undo is always your best friend. Yes. You can always undo, go back, fix what you need to, and then go back to where you were. Okay, so Looking down here at the quilt, where are we going to add the next design, Kristina? You get to, once again, help me create the roadmap here of what we're doing.
Okay, I like to go left to right just because that's the way I've always been trained my whole life.
So you want to start up here?
Yeah, let's start up there.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is just eyeballing it. I'm going to start that 1/4 inch away. And I have the area tab selected. And once again, I'm going to do a multi-point. So I am going to do a line at least that goes down to here, the 1/4 inch away, okay? So I'll tap and I'll drop my first point.
And if you had, say, your closed-toed foot on or your sure foot, that would help you keep that 1/4 inch really straight.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you can also do lots of different points along the way.
Exactly, exactly. So you can see there on the screen, I did leave that little channel. Okay, so where are we gonna go from there?
Let's go up to the right and make a triangle.
Up to the right, and you just want to make a triangle, so just go like up to there? Okay, I like that. So I'll go up just like that on the screen. Okay, triangle's perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, here's another, I kind of like this. I feel like this is a chance to teach some of the tools of Pro Stitcher that are underutilized. Let's use our zoom to area. That's what this button right there is. It brings that area so that that's what you're really focusing on the screen. And let's go to File, Design, and Open, and let's pick another background to go in here.
Let's do a triangle for this one since it is a triangle area.
I like that.
We can pick one that's going to fill that whole
Fill
space.
it all the way up. Ooh. Okay, so what?
Oh wait, I'm supposed to be sticking with flowers.
No, it's okay. You know what? Okay, let me tell you part of my reasoning behind what I did up there. To make the designs pop more, if I do something that has a lot of curves, the designs that go next to it, I like to do something with lines. That contrast makes you notice the difference in the textures. So if you see, like, say, for example, a curved crosshatch or something like that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so let's do this crosshatch triangle. Is that the one you were thinking of?
That's the one.
Okay, so let's give this one a try. Let's go to Modify, and let's use Skew and then Triangle Skew. And we'll pop that in there.
Earlier when you were setting up the area, I said you could drop as many points as you wanted. If you plan to do a triangle, though, and use triangle skew, you can only have three points on your area.
Exactly.
So, okay.
So a little bit of planning ahead maybe on some of those. Okay, so this looks pretty good, but actually if I hit the zoom right here and we zoom in on that corner, you can see that it's not quite lining up all the way.
But
and my other corner too.
It's going to be in the binding.
I know, but I want to show a little something here. Don't be afraid after you do a skew to actually go in and use your rotate tools, maybe just a little bit, to see if we can make it. It doesn't look like it's going to squeeze in there. So, okay.
What if you do rotate 45? Maybe just the.
Well, it's doing it up there. What if we try the 45 down at the bottom?
I think I like the first one.
Yeah, let's just go back to where it was. Actually, I can just hit reset.
Never mind.
What if?
What if we baseline it and then rotate? But then we'll rotate outside of the area.
Exactly. Okay, so we do want a baseline. We're going to go ahead and baseline that, and then I'm going to hit my select tool so I don't accidentally bump the screen and zoom in again. Let's go back and do Pro Stitcher and run, and we'll go ahead and stitch this one out. And you'll be able to see how that channel's created there.
Now, if you're a Pro Stitcher Lite user, you're not going to have this triangle skew function. So I would just make the design bigger than the area and then crop it off just like we did in the Field of Flowers, that first design.
Exactly.
And if you didn't like how this didn't go right all the way up into that one corner, you could do the same thing.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Yep.
So always ways to work around. Lots of different ways.
Okay, so we've finished stitching out this design here, and we'll go ahead and stitch out the area again. Just a note, if we had picked a different triangle design, there's a chance that it might have actually had the outline all the way around it, and I wouldn't need to stitch out the area. But I want that area especially so we can see that channel that we've just created. So. Well, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I love how it defines that space in between there.
Just putting that channel there, it makes all the difference when you're doing something like this. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cut this. And then we are ready to, I'll go ahead and hit refresh here on the screen. And let's clear that area. And then we're gonna add in the next area that we wanna do. And this one, I'm going to show you guys how to use rubber band area on this one. So to do a fill inside a fill is what we're going to do.
Excellent.
Okay, so where do you want me to start? Down here on the quilt.
Okay, so am I doing another space?
Yeah, we need to do another space, and of course we need to leave a channel between the two unless you want to do something out by itself somewhere else.
Okay, let's start in the top right of that triangle.
Okay. So I'll start right there.
Leaving that 1/4 inch.
Yep.
And then I want you to go down to the bottom left of the triangle.
Okay. So like right there.
Yep, and then I want you to hug the fill the flowers area.
Okay.
So just kind of going down to your bottom left and stop.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
And then bottom right.
Go bottom and to the right?
Yeah, a diagonal line.
Okay, diagonal.
And stop.
Okay.
And then let's go to the diagonal top right.
Okay, diagonal top right. Do you want me to go clear to the top?
Yeah, let's go all the way to the top.
All the way to the top.
I'll put you out of your misery.
Okay, there we go. Let's go like that. Okay, so that's a fun area to work with. I love this. You're starting to see how this quilting design is coming together, right?
Yep.
Okay, so like I said, I want to show you guys one of my a cool technique of using some designs inside Pro Stitcher to create areas using rubber band area. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to pick the design to fill this one. We're going to use a piano key. Although I'll tell you what, I'll let you choose the piano key you want to use. So we're going to go down to Susan Manry. I love her piano keys here. And Kristina, you can pick which piano key you want to put in here.
And these are great. They're available only on premium. Oh.
So any of them but the beaded. The beaded one is not a good one to use on this one. Any of the other ones is good.
Let's go with the slanted piano keys.
Okay.
Because my design is a little funky.
I love it. I love it. I think that's great. Okay, so what we want to do is fill this area. So we're just going to go to repeat and do fill. And I am going to add another, I'm going to add a couple more horizontal. Let's do that much. Okay, then I'm going to use the stretch function on vertical only because I want these to be as tall as that design. And then we're going to crop away all the rest. So first we're going to baseline it to lock the changes we made with the repeat. Then we'll go to modify, crop. And we're going to crop outside, and then we are absolutely closing the edges. And one of the great things about these piano keys is they just go up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'm not going to have any overstitching.
Oh, excellent.
So, which is really great. Okay, so we've locked these changes in place, and now what I want to do is add a half circle in the middle, the top middle part of this design. So we are going to baseline after doing the crop because we're going to get rid of the area. So let's go to the area, and we are going to clear that area. So this is the design we have to work with. Now, I am going to go to File, Design, Open, and we are going to PS Designs and Blocks, and I want to open a circle. So I'm just going to open the circle here. And then I'm going to grab, just with my finger, I am going to drag it over and just kind of position it about right there. That looks good. Okay. And what I want to do is create an area that's a half circle. So the first thing I need to do is turn this circle into a half circle. So we're going to go to Modify, actually Pro Stitcher and New Start and End. I'm going to crop using the start and end. Oh. So I'm going to use my end, and I am going to just move that backwards in the design until it is lined up about right at the top of that design. Actually, I can go down just a little bit more. Then we'll go back to modify, crop, and use start and end. And what that does is it eliminates all of the design that's beyond the start point or the end point. So now I have just this little half circle, and we'll baseline that.
I'm gonna call it a smiley face.
I like it, a smiley face. Baseline that, then we're gonna go back to area, and let's rubber band area that. And look, it created an area. Let's do zoom to area there. It created that area that is exactly that half moon shape. Now, I want you guys to notice something. Up here at the top, it's actually, my area is just below the top of those designs, and I want to make sure that that area is going to completely encase that design. So I've selected my area. You guys can see that it is green. We're going to go to modify, and we are going to reposition and just nudge that up a little bit.
Now, how did you select your area?
I just tapped it in this case.
Okay.
And there's a few different ways to do it. Now, I want to go back and put that, that line, our half moon, I want to select it. And you guys can see here, I'm tapping it, but I'm not selecting it. So I'm going to go over here to my workspace tab, and I'm going to tap that circle to select that design. I need to move that back up to where the area is so that it will line up. So we're going to just use align, and then we are going to do a vertical bottom, and it just pops it up so that the bottom of it lines back up with that area.
Okay.
Okay, so we're good to go there. Now, let's just zoom back out a little bit, and I want to crop this space out of the piano keys. So I have to make sure that the piano keys are selected. That's the important part here. I don't want to have that half moon shape. So we'll do crop, and we are going to crop inside, okay? And then tap edges. Now, this is where one of the reasons why I like using the shape here is I'm to create and then rubber band area to do. I'm going to go back and select my circle again, and then I am going to go to edit and duplicate, and I'm going to duplicate that exact same shape. Okay? We're going to pop it back into the area. So we'll go to modify and align, and we'll just hit center, and it will put it back in the area. Then we're going to make that one just a little bit smaller, and we're actually setting up the channels this way, is kind of what we're doing. So let's go to resize, and we're going to make sure the lock's on. And you can see that I've got this at 6 inches, and I want to have the 1/4 inch channel, so that means I need to make it a 1/2 inch smaller so that there's a 1/4 inch extra around the outside of it, right? Okay. So I will just go down to 5.5. And then I've got my shape, okay? And we're going to go in, we're going to baseline that change that we made. We'll go into the area, and we are going to clear it. Oops, I didn't baseline that last one.
Undo.
Okay, undo. So we're going to go back. I'm going to select my piano keys, and I need to baseline that. Now here's a little trick. You guys will notice that baseline, for whatever reason, is actually not available in my sidebar here. Baseline's right there, but it's not letting me use baseline. Here's a way that you can force a baseline. Go to File and Save it the workspace. If you save it, it forces the baseline, and it will save it that way. So we're going to call this quilt Liberty 2, because the other one I called Liberty. Okay, so I forced the baseline by saving. I forced it so I can baseline, and now my baseline's available. I can go ahead and make that baseline save there, okay? Now, let's go ahead and go back and clear that area again. We'll clear, and then we're gonna select that inside circle. And once again, we're gonna go back to workspace and hit circle 83. I don't know why it does not do them in like order. It just adds random numbers. And once again, we're going to create an area with this. So we'll hit rubber band area, and then let's put a fill inside this one. You get to pick the fill this time. So File, Design, Open. And what fill do you want to put in this? Do you want to do a block, or do you want to do a continuous line?
Let's go and see. Actually, you know what? Let's do that around you go.
Around you go. This one right here?
Yeah, let's see what that does.
Okay. So let's go back in, and I can grab this and pull it over. And actually, I can go use my align. How about if we do to the bottom and the center and put it there?
And then let's resize it a little.
Resize it, okay. We want to make it fit.
Yep.
Inside. Are we there?
Looks good.
I think we're there.
Yeah. No, crop off the extra.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll crop away and we'll crop the outside. And let's close the edges so we don't have little starts and stops, especially on those points. Yep. And then we can just go ahead and start stitching this design. And you can work from the center out or from the outside in, but that's a way that you can add a design inside an area inside one of these areas. I think it's kind of a fun technique, something fun to do. So, okay, we'll go ahead and stitch this out. Okay, so we've quilted out that design, and then we want to go through and quilt out the two partial circles. Oh, where did I leave my scissors? They get left all over the place. So let's go back to the workspace, and we're gonna choose that circle 83 first, and we'll stitch this one.
So you're gonna stitch the circle rather than the area on this one?
Yes, yeah.
But they're the same thing. So.
They're the same thing on this one. But one of the reasons why I'm choosing to do this is we don't need to stitch across the top right there because that's going to end up in the binding anyway, so we don't need stitching up there.
Exactly. So
I just won't worry about that. Okay, go ahead and clip that. And then we'll do the next circle. So back to the workspace, and we'll do circle this time. Run. And this is definitely a process that's not fast, but I think one of the things that's the most fun about it is it's a choose your own adventure as you go. Yeah. And so it's, for me, it's very engaging quilting because every single thing that you do is different. So there's no, you don't get bored.
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, now we are going to select the piano keys and stitch those out.
So this makes me think about a video you did a while ago that you actually just recently challenged me to do with improv piecing.
Yes.
This makes me think of improv quilting.
You know what? This actually, I would call this a type of improv quilting. Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so we have finished stitching our piano keys. Go ahead and clip the thread. Okay, just to show you another way that you could come up with some areas to use in here rather than using rubber band area, because rubber band area is great, but remember that it's as a rubber band around the outside. So if you have any concave areas on the outside of your design, it's not going to go inside those designs. Yeah. So luckily, if we go back to the screen and we go to File and then we tap Area to open our area library and then tap Open, I can tap here on the area library. You can see all these different areas we have here. So you can use one of these pre-created areas. So for example, the idea of the stars here, if I wanted to, and you guys notice how when I did that, the other design that we were working on, the area and everything cleared away because we don't have that area there anymore. What we're going to do is take that area, and there's a lot of different ways to move the area around. We just need to select it. I'll go over here to the workspace and we'll tap the star area to select it. And then I can grab it and just drag it with my finger. And if I wanted to, for example, I could pop that right there in the center of my design. I could select that, modify, crop the inside, and that's another way that I can easily create some fun shapes inside where I'm quilting that are not straight edge, weird, whatever.
Not Kristina made up?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that one's going to have lots of overstitching when you close those edges.
Exactly. So that's always something to consider. So we'll just go ahead and undo that. One last thing I want to show you is, so on this design here, I did not stitch the area, the original area, before I cleared it. So there's two different ways to tackle this. Number one, I could undo, or go to edit and history and go back and find it. And I could plop that back on there, or I can just go to Pro Stitcher tab and tap record, and then I can use the mark function, which is what I'm going to do. So I'll just drop some points.
Yeah, I think mark's probably the better option on this one because you had cropped off the top of this. So if you tried to stitch that area, it would stitch through your other stuff.
Exactly. And if all else fails, you can always pull out a trusty ruler and just do it that way. So there's lots and lots of ways to do this. Let's go ahead and stitch this out really quick.
I should have challenged you to do it free motion.
Not with angles like that. There is no way I would get it straight.
The diagonal lines
are
hard to do.
They are hard to do. So we'll let that go ahead.
Now, another benefit to using this mark function is looking at your screen, I can see the design is actually outside of your mark. Because of that draw-in, if you tried to stitch the area, it would not have matched up.
You're exactly right. I didn't even notice that. I'm glad you caught that. So if we just look closely here, I'll grab this and we'll zoom in on that a little bit. You can see that that mark, which is that gold line there, it is slightly outside. So, you know, it's actually one of those advantages. If you are quilting maybe a little bit of a larger area here, using mark might be a better choice because you can be more precise at the end of the day.
Yep.
So that's definitely not in a nutshell, but that's a fun way that you can, let's call it improv. I like that you said that. It's like improv quilting, just putting different designs over the whole quilt. It's a great thing to do on a panel or any other project you just want to add some fun texture to.
And not only is it great to look at, but think of all of the practice that you're going to get. Pushing all of those buttons, trying all of these different things. And it's on a panel, so if you have boo-boos, it's not the end of the world. It's not like an heirloom quilt or something. But you're getting those skills, having fun, it's therapeutic, and creating something beautiful all at the same time.
Exactly, and you can be a panel princess like we were today. Quite fun.
I was just like the chambermaid.
Well,
following along.
I don't know. You were the quilting queen and I was the princess because I did the work. I pushed all the buttons and you told me what to do. So
okay.
We'll go with that one today.
That works. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you learned some great tips with the Pro Stitcher as well as free motion and ruler work using the same technique. And make sure that you like and subscribe and stay tuned so you can see some of our Instagram photos.